So what are we saying? We need a higher consciousness to understand energy alternatives, understand a higher astronomy of star cultures, understand, as it were, a new anthropology of seeing the connectiveness of various civilizations in the past who used, as it were, stargates or sacred areas to communicate with other realms of intelligence, and a whole new understanding, as it were, of consciousness in science that is being spearheaded by so many great thinkers.
And this is now out in a new book by Alan Steinfeld called Making Contact, and Dr. Hurtak and I are one of the authors. And we talk about the fact that, well, okay, you can make contact with extraterrestrial vehicles physically that fly around like we see many times, and many people have seen over the years. But in actuality, there's also the idea of teleportation or quantum field teleportation, where you can be here and then you can be somewhere else. We know the universe is entangled. We know consciousness is a key. So all of this is really starting to expand our consciousness to even go beyond the physical flotsam and jetsam. And the idea that even now that's very prevalent, that extraterrestrial craft are not limited to the third/fourth dimensional reality, fourth dimension being time, but that they can work in fifth dimensional reality. So
this is what we say in chapter 3 of our contribution, that all of these discontinuities can be resolved by a higher consciousness physics that allows us to see we're not dealing with one extraterrestrial society, but several. And even beyond that, extracelestial and ultra-terrestrial that are in the consciousness or the pure form of evolution that do not need nuts and bolts. And so this is the big picture, as it were, the blueprint to the stars, the passport to the cosmos that we need as we wake up and smell the coffee, a higher consciousness that is more generous, and recognizing all members of the human society have had great traditions. We celebrate in the Judeo-Christian tradition the prophetic language of light used by the great prophets and apostles, who are keys to a higher vibration system that opens up the higher mind, or the seventh seal as it is called, by John the Divine, to see and to understand cosmic realities.
And that's why a lot of the technology is not required aboard spacecraft, because they use the consciousness field. They may have a hand imprint, as noted in the idea of Rodwell. There was a hand imprint reported in some of the vehicles, but basically there's not a lot of push button dials or mathematical coordinates that are linear, but that are working with the power of the mind and the screen that some people have seen in extraterrestrial spacecraft, which shows them where they're going and how to direct the vehicle.
The keys of I also speak of wormholes that are used in key 109. This is elaborated on.
And we mentioned that also in Making Contact, because the fact is wormholes are now becoming plausible as a place that doesn't literally destroy you, but actually can be a passageway to other realms.
The physicist John Brandenburg writes, "You have enormous electromagnetic fields being generated. That means we can create perhaps a traversable wormhole, quote unquote." So we have reached a stage where the stargates are beginning to open. We have reached a stage of recognizing the great contributions of our indigenous brothers and sisters, preserving sacred areas or stargates. And we recognize within ourselves, we have, as it were, a vision to the future if we open the power of the inner mind. Russell Tark would call this the psychic power of the third eye.
Or the mind reach. And this brings us back to what Ben Rich said from Lockheed Skunk Works, that, everything from Star Trek to Stargate has been investigated and in many cases developed. So we have not only wormhole technology, hyperspace travel, teleportation, but we also have Beam Me Up Scotty.
Correct. The wow effect.